Okay, September 1st. This is usually the time of the year we celebrate Labor Day and, get the kids ready for school, pull out the box of sweaters, get ready for winter. But today I wanted to talk about peace instead of labor. And you might wonder why. Well, we have an election coming in about 2 months. We have a war between Ukraine and Russia, and we have a war with Hamas and Israel. And I feel the tension kind of building. There's some confusion, there's a lot of anxiety, and chaos. There's chaos. So today I want to teach you kind of a technique that I use to come back to peace. Now, you just heard Larry say from Ernest, he said, my peace is found at the heart of God. So why do we cultivate peace? Peace is that inner state of calm. I think peace is heaven on earth. If you're peaceful, you're experiencing that unity with God and everything on this planet. So Ernest also said peace is always available when we align with God. And we are taught in religious science that we create our own reality, or at least we co-create with others. Do you remember the slogan from the 60s? Be the peace you want to see in the world. I had a cup with that on it. You do make a difference. You are agents for peace. Quantum physics, and I've talked about this before, it teaches us that we create our reality. The science has shown that a wave of possibility will collapse into a particle. We have this ability to change waves to particles and to create a reality. You may also remember Jesus said something about that. He said, as you think, so shall you be. So if we think about peace, we're going to create more peace. And I think we need more right now. First, I always have to have a couple of jokes. So in honor of Labor Day, I'd like to share a story from Matt Kahn, K-A-H-N. He wrote a book called The Universe Always Has a Plan. Well, he said, when I was in kindergarten, we were asked to draw a picture of what we wanted to be when we grew up. Well, I hadn't given it much thought, so I drew the first thing that came to my mind. Apparently, it was so distressing to my teacher that she called my parents. When they arrived, my teacher showed my parents the picture and the pictures of the other kids, and the other kids had pictures of being president and astronaut and ballerina, nurse, doctor, all these things. And she pointed to my picture and said, what do you make of this? Well, so I was called in from recess. Standing before my teacher and parents, I said, well, when I grow up, I want to be the garbage man. Why the garbage man? Well, without even missing a beat, I just looked at them and said, because they only work on Friday. My teacher and parents were doing their best not to laugh. No, Matthew, they only work on Fridays on our street. So I thought about it for a long time and then said, well, forget it. I'll find another work. But not to demean anybody. All work is sacred. I'm grateful for the labor of others. I'm grateful for Labor Day and for the celebration for all the people and animals. So one more. This one is called Rest in Peace. Rest in peace. A guy was opening a new business and his friend wanted to send him a gift. So he went to the florist and ordered this incredible flower arrangement, even bigger than this. And the friend went to the opening ceremony, looked around for the flowers, and he saw this wonderful wreath with his name on the card, but across the arrangement was a ribbon that said, "Rest in peace." He was understandably confused and a little angry. He left the event and went back to the florist and said, "How could you do that?" And the florist apologized for the mix-up, and he said, "Look at it this way. Somewhere in this city, there's a funeral with a wreath that says, 'Good luck in your new location.'" And just a reminder, if you don't feel peace, Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "For every minute of anger, you lose 60 seconds of happiness." So remind yourself. So again, what's peace? Peace is a state of inner calm. Ernest goes on to say, the infinite is always at peace because there's nothing to disturb it. A realization of our oneness with omnipresence brings peace. And that peace is accompanied by a consciousness of power. So think about the power. So when life seems like it's happening to us, and sometimes I feel like, I'm a victim, peace moves us from the feeling of being separate into being one. That's important, because we're never alone. We are not alone. We're all interconnected. Did any of you take English history? If you did, you probably heard about the white and the red. The War of the Roses in England. Well, we've got our own blue and red. And I struggle. I get anxious when I hear people I use the word awfulizing. Isn't this awful? What an awful country. No. And I have to stop myself. Yes, we have been learning from war. That's our history. And you may recall famous wars like Civil War, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Syria. You remember things like Arlington? Been there. Punch Bowl? Been there. Nagasaki? Been there. Hiroshima? These are reminders of hell on earth, not heaven on earth. So I think we've learned all we need to learn about war. It's time to change. It's time to think about peace. Can you imagine, and thank you for the song, can you imagine a world of peace? Can you imagine that? Just, if you imagine, it can be created. We know that. We have that power to create. No poverty, no hunger, no anger, no greed. One people, one planet, respect for each other. Thank you, John Lennon. Joel Goldsmith, he's the author of a book called The Infinite Way. He said, begin your spiritual life with the understanding that all conflicts must be settled within your consciousness. We must be peace before we pursue peace in the world. Reuben Job, in his book, Praying in a Noisy World, he said, today, how do we intend to hear the heartbeat of God? What will we do to make it possible for us to hear comforting, peace-giving, guiding voice? So I think, with TV and cable and text messaging, I'm not sure we can hear God's heartbeat. So once upon a time, we were doing fairy tales last month. So this is just a little. Once upon a time, there lived a king who announced a prize to the artist who could paint the best painting depicting peace. Many great painters sent the king several of their best art pieces. One of the pictures among the various masters was a calm lake, mirroring peacefully towering snow-capped mountains with blue sky and fluffy clouds. It was perfect. Most of the people who viewed it thought that was the best one. But when the king announced the winner, everyone was shocked. The picture which won the prize had mountains too, but they were rugged and bare. The sky was angry, there was lightning. They didn't look closely. There was a little bird in a little bush, and she had built her nest in the midst of angry weather. The bird sat on her nest with peace. Peace doesn't mean to be in a place where there's no noise or trouble or chaos. Peace means to be in the midst of all the chaos and still be calm. The real peace is the state of mind, peace of mind, not the state of surroundings. The mother bird was calm despite her chaotic surroundings. She was indeed the best representation of peace. So, how do we get to peace? I want to share a couple of techniques for growing. I use terms like growing and harvesting because I was raised on a farm in Nebraska. So I think of peace as little ideas or little seedlings. So how do we create these seedlings? Well, when you were a kid, you probably had this technique called stop, drop, and roll. Like if you got too close to the bonfire or something and caught on fire, you stopped, got down on the ground, and you rolled and smothered it out. Well, there's another technique, and it's called stop, drop, and pray. So let me explain that to you. It doesn't put out fires, it puts out chaos and crazy making. So what you do is whatever you're doing, you're starting to feel anxious, you stop, turn away from the condition, turn off the TV, turn off the phone, whatever. You drop from your head to your heart. You pause, you breathe. Don't stop breathing, keep on breathing. And then you pray or do a quick affirmation. A prayer can be something as short as, thank you for peace. I am peace. We said that with lighting the candles. I am peace. Just say that. I am peace. That's enough. So just to give you an example, my daughter texted me pictures of children who were dead or wounded. And she was angry and looking for blame and responsibility and judging and condemning. And, maybe I don't know why she sent them to me. She wanted me to share in her anger. And it was like, okay, stop, turn off the phone and the pictures, turn away. Raymond Charles Barker was always good about that. He said, physically turn away, just move your body because the rest of you will follow. So turn away from it. And then give peace a chance. Give gratitude. Stay in a consciousness of peace. Find your center. And peace, is that unity with the one. The other thing is, Jesus taught 2 commandments. Love God, love each other. You have to see that you are connected to every person. And what you do is you declare that the good is happening in the situation, that peace is breaking out all over. Whatever you want to say to bring yourself to that position of peace and power. Now another example, like turn on the cable news, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, ABC, NBC, whichever one. And I see these 2 people arguing, and they're getting louder, and they're not even paying attention to what the other person is saying. They're yelling over each other. And it's like, what? It's like chaos. And at that time, I was thinking, I remembered a Native American saying. The Native American saying is, be tolerant of those who are lost on their path. Ignorance, conceit, anger, jealousy, greed, they stem from a lost soul. So, turn off the TV, turn away from it, or turn it down, and you can turn it down and watch these people. Then they become kind of silly. Drop from your head to your heart. Bless them on their path. Realize ignorance is turned to intelligence. You know, there's only one God. It's all God. It's all spirit. God in amazing disguise. You know, and I've mentioned this before. When I worked for Mother Teresa, she used to say, "This is the person you're caring for. That's God in an amazing disguise." And she also said, if we have no peace, it's because we have forgotten that we belong to each other. I like that one. We belong to each other. So I usually pray, you know, I'm at peace. I allow peace to be in my heart, the peace that passes understanding. And what I mean by passes understanding, don't think about it. You don't think about peace. Peace is here. So peace that passes understanding, right here. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, wrote these affirmations. He said, "I'm surrounded by peace. I'm immersed in peace. There's nothing but peace. Peace, deep, calm, undisturbed." In the morning when I wake up, and you can do this too, you can plant a seedling for peace. You can just wake up and say, the peace of God is my peace now. I'm at peace. I start my day fresh. I see peace in full bloom everywhere I look. So be the peace you want to see in the world. Some of you may have heard of Desmond Tutu. He was the South African Anglican bishop and theologian. He won a Nobel Peace Prize in 1983 for nonviolent opposition to apartheid in South Africa. Now he said, do your little bit of good where you are. It's those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world. It's kind of like little pieces, little seedlings that come in to create peace, a bigger peace. And did you know what's behind the Nobel Peace Prize? Well, there was a man, his name was Alfred Nobel, and when he passed, he wrote a will, and the will said, a peace prize should be awarded to the person who in the preceding year shall have done the most or the best work for fraternity between nations, for the abolition or reduction of standing armies, for the holding and promotion of peace congresses. You know, he invented dynamite. He invented something else, a balanced diet, both of which were used very violently during his lifetime. And he was also into developing armaments. But I think he had a change of heart. There was also a story that when his brother died, they accidentally thought he had died, and they put out a newspaper obituary that said, the merchant of death is dead, Dr. Alfred Nobel, who became rich by finding ways to kill more people faster than ever before, died. Well, I think after seeing that, he had his wake-up call, and he decided to give his money toward peace. Again, we've learned all we need to know from war. It's time to learn from peace. Also, an interesting backstory. He was from Sweden, and this happened in Sweden, but he went to Norway to present the award because at the time, the Norwegian Parliament was closely involved in efforts to resolve conflicts through mediation and arbitration. So another way, in addition to stop, drop, and pray, is forgiveness. And I have a little story here about Gandhi. We're talking about Gandhi today a lot. A fellow named Mark Nepo, you may have heard of him, he wrote the book of Awakening. He said during one of Mahatma Gandhi's hunger strikes, a man whose daughter had been killed came to Gandhi in a state of anguish. He told Gandhi that he could stop fighting if Gandhi would end his strike and eat. But Gandhi knew that healing was deeper than that, stopping the violence, than just stopping it. He told the man he would eat only when the father embraced the man who killed his daughter. The man collapsed in tears, but he did what Gandhi asked, and the larger conflict ended. Gandhi's request reveals the irrefutable wisdom that only when the broken are healed, no matter what they've done, will we as a people be healed. So, we each have to forgive ourselves and we have to forgive each other. You know, peace cannot move through us if there's a blockage. The Buddha said, when the inner conflict ends, peace begins. Some other spiritual techniques, I know you already know, meditation. Some of you came this morning, thank you. Reading positive messages, doing prayer for other people, and hearing the still small voice. It's an interesting one that I also found about peace. I found this in the New Testament, that Jesus said, when you come to somebody's house, when you first step up into the house, say, peace to this house. What if you went to a meeting and you just walked in and said, peace to this meeting? You went over a friend's house, or you went to an office and you said, peace to this office. You know, it's really easy. It's very easy to plant that little seedling of peace. And I have a quote here from Mark Twain. He's one of my favorite writers. He said, anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything in which it is poured. So true. So, you can make a difference. Because we're one, we are interconnected, we have the ability to make changes. We can bring peace. We can bring peace. So, just by being peace. Just by being peace. So remember, stop, turn away from it, drop from your head to your heart and breathe. Breathe in your heart and pray. So each little seedling grows, and I can imagine. And so it is.